Welcome in to Palmetto Sports Daily. I'm Carmine live at Doug Kingsmore Stadium in Clemson, South Carolina. We, of course, are joined by Kevin Bilodeau in Charleston, South Carolina, and Rick Henry in Columbia, South Carolina. That's why it's called Palmetto Sports Daily. It's the state of South Carolina, the Palmetto state of mind. And that's exactly what we're getting into ahead of the second matchup, the rematch between the Savannah Bananas and the Clemson baseball team. It is still the one and only college baseball team ever to play against the Savannah Bananas. And last season, the Bananas took it to the Tigers 4-1. The Bananas won. So now Clemson's trying to split this series and win one of their own. They also played just across the road at Memorial Stadium, still the biggest ever crowd for a Savannah Bananas game, more than 81,000, and still the only college football stadium ever to host this great team, the combination of entertainment and competition. And head coach Eric Bakich, I was just talking to him. He walked past, great guy, love to hear from Coach Bakich, the head coach of Clemson baseball, and he said this game last year inspired him to reignite his social media presence, so he got back on social media because of this great event. Their team got 50 million views on one of their social media videos, which involved them doing a backflip, which I will not attempt despite Rick and Kevin's attempts to make me attempt that. But Kevin, I know you also went to a Savannah Bananas baseball game with your family. In your opinion, what makes this such a great trend and something that's catching fire all across the country?
Well, it combines a lot of things. I think the pace of the game is something that really helps it be family friendly. You're not going there thinking, you could be bogged down for a 3 or 4 hour game. Things are going to go pretty much 2 hours and a couple minutes of change. But after that, it's going to pretty much be over. And they just do such a nice job of placating towards the families and especially the young kids. My 9-year-old, all he wants to do now is to play for the Savannah Bananas when he grows up. So they've made a huge impression on him. And I think kids around the country are probably the same way, Rick.
Yeah, it is great family fun and entertainment. I haven't been able to see them in person. This summer we were in Hilton Head and we were out to dinner, my wife and I. And the Bananas, they were on TV. I think they were playing in one of the major markets, one of the professional league stadiums. And she really got into it, really enjoyed it. And so if it can capture her attention, and it's baseball, but it's a fun kind of baseball, then I'm all for it. And the Savannah Bananas and what they're doing all around the country is just simply amazing. We need more stuff like this.
Yeah, Rick, I totally agree with that, and so does head coach Eric Bakich, which is why he made history with this team coming to play against Clemson for the first ever matchup against the college baseball team last season. Has him back for the first ever rematch against the college baseball team this season. And Coach Bakich also mentioning a couple other side benefits and great benefits to having this matchup for baseball in general, but also for his players. He said as far as the NIL and getting attention for his players, brand deals, this is great to get exposure and attention. He also said, of course, the fun and bonding and freedom, because you're in the grind, a lot of pressure of ACC baseball, trying to train up, win a conference title, make it back to Omaha for the first time since 2010 for the Clemson Tigers. Lots of pressure. This is a chance to let their hair down, bond with their teammates, do choreographed dances, have trick moves. But listen to this soundbite as well as another benefit of the on-the-field action for later this season.
I think anyone who can play the Bananas at any time it's a positive, because it's going to be a regional, super regional postseason atmosphere, and it's total chaos. There's stuff going on every second of those 2 hours, and if you can get comfortable in that environment, or even just learn to deal with being uncomfortable in that environment, that's certainly something we'll look back on and say, hopefully this can help us down the road when we get to those types of environments, whether it's against South Carolina or a conference play or the postseason.
It's all about fun. EB always talks about just having fun. So Bananas is a good example. Just go out there, play free, and try to implement that into just a regular game too as well. Not put too much pressure on yourself.
Aiden Canuck, the first ever Clemson baseball pitcher to earn first-team all-conference honors in his first 2 years in a row. And even he can loosen up a little bit. He's usually very buttoned up. He will not be pitching. Eric Bakich just walked by, as I mentioned. He said they're basically only pitching their freshmen today, keeping those arms fresh. But Kevin, I didn't really think of that as far as the atmosphere, but it will be a wild atmosphere, as you know, from taking your family to a game that could pay dividends down the road for guys dealing with the stress and the pressure of the moment as well.
Yeah, a couple other questions, Carmine. The Bananas are always known for bringing out special guests at each of their games. You mentioned I saw them in Charlotte. They brought out some of the Carolina Panthers to take an at-bat and to go play in the field. Any word on special guests at Clemson tonight? And also, what are the odds that Eric Bakich is going to rip off that jersey again and give everyone at Kingsmore a show?
I know. Both great questions, Kevin. I did ask one of the representatives for Bananas Communications, Natalie, about the Golden Bat participant. She said she's not sure if there is one. I'm not sure if she does know, and she's just keeping that tight to the vest. Would love to see Dabo Swinney take a couple swings here. Would be amazing. As far as the other head coach, Eric Bakich, to be determined. I will ask him in our live interview at 5:45 on Fox Carolina if he plans to redo or possibly outdo, which I don't know how he's going to do that, taking his shirt off and weighing in on the pitcher's mound, which happened live during one of my reports on Fox Carolina, one of the most unexpected moments, but definitely a fan favorite that he did that. Although, Rick, on the other side, some people say, well, you're having all this fun. What about the results of making it back to Omaha? Where do you stand on that as far as the combination of fun and success, and can both be true at the same time?
Yeah, I know some of the detractors will be saying, yeah, you guys should be taking more batting practice and concentrating more on getting ready for the season. But if you can mix in a little fun and still win and have a successful season, I'm all for it. And Carmine, I think when you're doing your live shot with Coach Bakich, why don't you rip off your shirt and treat the fans to a bare-chested Carmine show?
Get the gun show going.
Kevin?
Hey, that's a great point. Yeah, guys. I think, hey, why not? Maybe I might be able to do that. You know what's great though about the branding and the company man is that even if I was to take that off, I still have my Palmetto Sports tattoo right here on my chest anyway, so the brand would still be great. But right back here on Palmetto Sports Daily, we'll have much more sports talk in just a minute.
And welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily from the fun and games with the Savannah Bananas. Okay, some serious business for Gamecock football. They entertain Alabama Saturday, 3:30. It's homecoming. What will we see from that Gamecock offense? It's been a rough week for USC offensive coordinator Mike Shula. In the first quarter last week against Oklahoma, fans started chanting "Fire Shula" because the offense, especially in their 4 losses, has been pretty much inept. They're averaging 11 points a game in those 4 losses. And against the Sooners, only 54 yards rushing. Lenore Sellers was sacked 6 times. And we hear the coaches all the time telling the players to block out the outside noise. They want to keep their confidence up, have a belief in what they're doing. And so here's Mike Shula responding to the question of, hey, has your confidence wavered? How do you keep your hope up? And here's the coach.
Yeah, you have to have confidence. So you know, what do we ask our players to do, right? We ask our players to have confidence, believe in themselves, keep working hard, believe and trust in what they're doing and their guys around them. And so if we do that as coaches, I mean, if we ask our players to do that, we have to do the same thing. Plus, we have so much, there's so much each week to have to dial in and be really good in preparation. You don't have time to kind of think about, hey, being down on yourself or what's, this is being said or that. You just kind of know. I mean, you sign up for this coaching and playing because you love football. And you sign up because you love to compete. And if I take time away from preparing to help our football team compete and go win games, then I'm cheating everybody around me, and I can't, I won't do that.
Yeah, I believe that Shula's confidence is up. After all, he played quarterback at Alabama. He was a head coach at Alabama. He's worked in the NFL. So he has to be thick skinned. And of course, his father, Don Shula, NFL Hall of Fame head coach. But still, he got a lot of questions on Wednesday about some of the play calling. Why were you sticking with the run down there on the goal line? What about more runs with Lenore Sellers down in the red zone instead of going up the middle, more deep passes? So we need to see if any of that is going to play a role on Saturday, or if it's going to be the same stuff that we saw against Oklahoma, which won't be pretty.
Yeah, Rick, we've talked about this with the Gamecocks coaching staff before, and I think it's wrong to say that this all falls on Mike Shula's shoulders, because it doesn't. He's got players playing for him as well, and they need to take some of the responsibility. And it's like we talked about with the offensive line last week. They make a change there. They bring in Sean Elliott. That doesn't solve all the problems. It's still the same guys. And, even if they got rid of Mike Shula, at this point of the season, they're going to be running the same offense. They're not going to come in and put in a whole new offense for the last half of the season. So I guess, Rick, the question is, how much of the offensive struggles do you put on Shula, and how much do you put on the players at Carolina?
Yeah, you're right. The players still have to execute, but you can put a good bit on Shula's shoulders with the play calling. It seems like in their first drive against Oklahoma, they showed some creativity. They moved it right down the field. But after that, it got kind of stale, and he was asked about, continuing those runs. And he said, hey, you also have to think about the scheme of the defense. Like, hey, they're scheming up plays to stop you. And so, yeah, it's a chess match. But sooner or later, you have to come up with some plays that are going to work a little better for you and also help you to get down and put some points on the scoreboard. But, yeah, it's a combination of the players have to execute. Lenore Sellers, is he reading the defenses quick enough as he's taking what the defense has given him? So it's a little of both.
Yeah, guys, and another team actually trying to keep going and improve their offense, although dealing with a questionable quarterback, is the Panthers' Bryce Young. Just like all of us in this life, he's listed day to day, no days guaranteed, but he's trying to come back from an ankle injury, sprained ankle he suffered in yet another Panthers win over the New York Jets. Ugly game, though, 16-6, not the best for the viewers. But interesting that Andy Dalton has so far taken all the starting quarterback snaps for the Panthers this week, the 15-year NFL veteran, one of the best backups in the entire league probably. Head coach Dave Canales leading the turnaround from a record of just 1 win and 7 losses to start last season to a 4-3 record to start this season, the best start for the Panthers through 7 games since 2019. And after practice just yesterday, he had an update on his starting quarterback, Bryce Young.
Did more than he did yesterday, so that's good. That's our plan right now, is each day try to push him a little bit more, see if we can get him out there in a different capacity. Wasn't able to practice today, but was working on the side, was able to do some movement stuff, and we'll just take it day to day and make the best decision. They all want Bryce to go, Andy included. While he would love to get out there and play, he's chomping at the bit. At this point in his career, he's like, any chance I get to get out there, whether it's finishing a game or going into a game, he's got a lot of gratitude, about the opportunity potentially, but we got to do what's best for Bryce first and foremost, and we'll go from there.
And another interesting move for the Panthers this week, signing another quarterback, Mike White, who spent all of last season and training camp on the Buffalo Bills, and that I don't think is a coincidence, because the Buffalo Bills are headed to play at the Panthers. So Canales saying he's trying to get any intel on the Bills' background from Mike White, having experience with that team. You can watch that game at 1 o'clock right here on Fox Carolina on Sunday. Bills at the Panthers. But we'll be right back on Palmetto Sports Daily after a short break.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. We switch over to the NBA, where the league kicking off the season this week all over the country, but the league had a bombshell dropped on them this morning as arrests were made of a player and a current coach wrapped up in sports gambling issues and all kinds of problems. More than 30 people arrested by the FBI in connection with this, and almost half of them have some kind of ties to organized mobs. So that's the kind of issues they're dealing with right now. Of course, it's Portland Trailblazers head coach and former player Chauncey Billups, who was arrested, and former Charlotte Hornet guard Terry Rozier, also arrested as well. Now, all kinds of reports coming in on this stuff, so there's a lot to still go through. Billups was supposedly more involved with an illegal poker game and trying to fix those issues, which is that. Rozier really has more of an issue with the basketball side of things, as Rozier is claimed to have kind of tried to fix a game when he was playing in Charlotte with the Hornets. Supposedly over $200,000 were bet on a game that he was playing in, and the bets were on him making the unders of his expected stats for that game. And Rozier allegedly told people that he was going to check out of the game after playing just a few minutes to make sure that all of his stats would go under, and all those, he didn't say all the bets would hit, but that was that was the reason he was going to check out early. It was to make sure all these bets would hit, and it was supposedly around $200,000 that was bet on these things. So a lot going on. We've talked on this show a lot about gambling before. I know you guys know that I'm a big proponent of making it legal here in this state for several reasons. This is one of the reasons to not get into that, but it's already so open, everywhere in the country. It seems there's probably no going back on that. The Billups stuff doesn't worry me as much as the Rozier stuff does. That, if Billups is going off and playing poker and doing stuff like that in his own time, that's a completely separate issue. The legality of that, I'm not too worried about. He's a grown man. He can deal with that on his own. Rozier trying to fix basketball games, and not just fix the games, but kind of fix his stats to make sure bets can be won. That's the thing we need to worry about more as far as the connection with sports gambling. And I think this is the thing that we really need to worry about. And it's interesting this comes out now when just a couple of days ago it was announced that the NCAA is going to start allowing athletes at the NCAA level to start gambling on pro games going forward. So that could open up a whole nother can of worms, because then you're talking about guys who know guys on other teams, and there's connections, guys who have former teammates now playing in the pros, and you can make those kind of calls, see who's more injured than they're letting on and stuff like that. So all kinds of problems with this. But like I said, it seems like this is an issue where you can't really stuff the worms back in the can, Rick.
Yeah, this is very troubling for the NBA, especially. This is the opening week for the NBA, and we've had some great games already. The opening night game with the OKC going to double overtime, and then the big battle between San Antonio and Dallas last night. And to have these gambling allegations, with a player, head coach, and I think they both give me concern, like in Rozier, and he has the ability to go into a game and, if these allegations are true, shaving his stats so people can collect if they bet the under. We can't have that. And then with Billups, if he's dealing with the mafia, and I heard one report while I was driving in today that he had this huge debt, and you don't want a person of that character involved with your business, whatever it is. So it's just not a good look for the NBA in general. Carmine.
Yeah, Rick, and speaking about that, with the Palmetto Sports and Entertainment Partnership, we just carried the Charlotte Hornets game live on this network yesterday, and instead of talking about the 136-117 win with 9 Hornets in double figures, rookies Con Knippel, the 4th overall pick, and Ryan Kalkbrenner, the 34th pick, and Sion James, the 33rd pick, all playing well, and Brandon Miller with 3 alley-oop dunks and a 15-point second quarter and 25 points for the game. We're talking about the connection to Terry Rozier, the former Hornet, and this whole gambling situation. And just to read off a quick quote from that indictment, it was basically saying that these were connected to unfair advantages, like you guys said, and it reminded me a lot of the Tim Donaghy referee scandal that we went through about 15 or 20 years ago, the NBA ref who had some of that inside information and was divulging it to mafia connections and then placing bets that way. The Terry Rozier thing, he just took it into his totally own hands, allegedly, of what's happening, Kevin, but definitely not something you want to see. And the investigators called it possibly the biggest scandal of sports betting since online sports betting became a thing, which of course is legal in North Carolina for the Charlotte Hornets. And so Hornets fans getting hurt possibly in the process betting on that game as well. So just a big black eye all around.
Yeah, and one of the things that really worries me about this is that the thing that the feds caught on to was the big number that was bet on Rozier's numbers. Like I said, I believe it was around $200,000. At some point, guys are going to start to learn, maybe we don't bet that much. Maybe just make it, $1,000. They're going to make smaller bets so that the flags don't go up. And that's something that's going to be harder for league officials and federal agents to keep an eye on this going forward. So that's just something to think about as we keep watching this story develop over the next few days. We've got more to come here on Palmetto Sports Daily. We'll be back right after this.
And welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. This is our final block here in the show. I want to tell you about a big treat we're going to have for you on Friday. Alshon Jeffrey, former Gamecock football star and Super Bowl champion. He's going to be here to talk about football and the 15th anniversary of the Gamecocks' upset of number 1 ranked Alabama. So, Kevin, I know you're looking forward to it, especially since Alshon beats your Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, look, we all see where this is going. Everyone's upset that I'm dominating in the locks of the week, and so we're bringing a ringer, and we'll have him make fun of Kevin for always getting it right. Let's just get this segment out of the way. I can't wait. That's coming up tomorrow here on Palmetto Sports Daily. We will see everyone then. Don't forget to download the podcast. We'll see everyone on Friday. Have a great night.